And we're back. It's clearly a different day. It's 2 weeks after we recorded part 4.
You still haven't fixed your microphone. What's going on?
Yeah, Borp, 2 weeks has gone by. What has happened with your mic?
It made me more engaged with the podcast. I'm telling you, it's going to work out. It's working out.
Okay. So yeah, this is
Matt,
Full Moon
why
Fridays.
are you still playing Puppet Master 4 in the background?
Well, I loved it so much. You guys convinced me to rewatch the stupid thing to see if I could, if I missed the greatness that you guys claimed it was, and I didn't. It's still bad. But Full Moon Fridays here on Outpost Unknown. We are here talking about Puppet Master 5, the follow-up to Puppet Master 4. We're continuing the story of Rick, Steve's 10-year-old idol, as he,
You're not wrong.
Continues to play laser tag with his puppets and have a good grand old time. All right, you guys kind of enjoyed part 4 for kind of like the cheesiness of it. Just had a good time with it. I did not have a good time with part 4 at all. I thought part 4 was awful, so I was coming into this just kind of dreading it. I had seen both of these in the past. I didn't really remember part 5 a whole lot, so I kind of went into it being like, all right,
because nothing
is
happens in part 5.
I disagree, and I think that'll be the interesting conversation where everyone calls me a contrarian. But I told you this, Steve, before we even got on the call 2 weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I have a completely different take on part 5 than you guys do. So, Borp, you watched part 4. Were you kind of hyped going into part 5? Were you excited to see where Rick's story took him?
Okay. I would not say hyped. I was intrigued. I was also kind of excited to see. I thought that the Sutek guy would come into the real world, or I guess maybe he's in the real world. I thought there would be a big confrontation or something like that. Not to spoil things for you, but I kind of came away from this, as I said 2 weeks ago, debating if this even was supposed to be a full movie. Because it seemed so wild. It's just a movie that kind of washes over you, and not a lot happens, but also a ton of things happen. Feels like it doesn't. I mean, it technically has a free act structure, but it doesn't feel like it has one. Things just kind of happen. It's a strange one.
I would equate this movie to like a video game that is going to have a DLC coming out, and then the developers change their mind and they try to take that DLC and stretch it into a full standalone game, but there's just not enough substance there to make it work.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking around in this one, but we'll get to it. Steve, I mean, take it away. Tell us all about Puppet Master 5.
So shit, it's been a month since I saw this. Rick has been arrested, which I will give the movie credit for this, because I have always thought that the end of every horror movie should be the final person being arrested for the murders of everyone that died, because logically that's what any cop would think walking onto the scene. And so I give this movie credit for that. Rick has been arrested because they went to the Bodega Bay Inn and found a bunch of bodies. Or I guess they found one body, and they also accused Rick of killing the 2 people from the Omega Project in the lab. So Rick,
I like that they arrested him. He's handcuffed. He's in an orange jumpsuit, and his lawyer's like, "You haven't even set any charges against my no charges have been filed against my client here." If a good attorney would be like, "Get him out of the handcuffs, put him back in his clothes, we're out of here." But I understand what they're trying to do.
I also enjoy that he tells everyone about the puppets. Everyone is like, "What the fuck are you talking about these puppets?"
That's the thing about Rick. To Steve's point, Rick is he's written very logically, right? He's just look, we're getting the fuck out of here. These puppets are in the last movie. The dude is like, "Hey, we gotta get these puppets." He's like, "No, man, we gotta get out of here." And he's telling people straight up, "Look, there's puppets." He's not a liar. Rick is a truth teller.
Yeah, so Rick has been arrested for the death of Cameron, as well as the death of the people working in the lab at the Omega Project. And they basically they have a video showing that a little puppet-sized thing killed the people at the Omega Project, and they're like, "Oh, conveniently, Rick, we noticed that you were working on puppet-sized things." Therefore, you sent a puppet to kill these people. And so Rick is like, nah, it's not what happened, man. It was demons. And ultimately,
It is demons.
ultimately, they have to let Rick go because they can't make the charges stick just yet. He gets bailed out by someone else from the Omega Project, and it's this. I think Borp called him like Discount Sam Neill, and that is an apt description. He works with the Omega Project. He goes and talks to Rick. Is like, Rick, tell me what happened here. And Rick says, demons and puppets. And Sam Neill's like, weird, but all right. So let's so he doesn't immediately dismiss it. He accepts it for what it is. He's like, all right, Rick, we'll talk later. And so Rick goes home to Susie, and Rick is like, I have been awake for 4 days. I just want to sleep. And Susie's like, nah, sexy time. And so Susie tries to get Rick naked, and Rick just passes out. And Susie's like, eh. And she's very upset that her man, who's been awake and in jail for 4 days, won't bang her. Also, Blade was the puppet that had been taken to the police station, and Blade like sneaks out and comes home to
That's a
Rick.
cool sequence because Blade is in like the evidence bag, and they actually show him like cut the evidence bag open and get out. That was kind of an interesting sequence for Blade, I thought.
I also want to mention that there's a large sequence here that's just flashbacks to the prior movie.
Oh yeah,
that we shouldn't gloss over. We should mention that because I think that's another part that makes the movie feel structurally weird for me.
10 minutes of recapping what happened in part 4. So you could literally just watch part 5. You wouldn't even need to watch part 4. You could just watch.
That's true.
You miss all the awesome laser tag sequences from part 4.
Yeah,
exactly, which is why you should just watch part 5.
Like it is entirely possible you could take Puppet Master 4 and 5 and edit them together into like one 80-minute movie, and it would work perfectly fine. You could cut out a lot of the fat. But anyways, Rick and Susie and Blade are at home. Psychic girl, whose name I still don't remember, she is like comatose in a hospital bed somewhere and having like weird flashbacks and weird visions of shit. Someone has a dream at some point. It must be Rick. Rick has a dream, and it's Susie in a bathtub, and like Pinhead is like holding her head back while Tunneler is drilling into her head, and she's just like something puppet master, and Rick's like, oh shit's going down. We gotta go get all the puppets.
That's a cool moment because it's like this weird surreal thing that you don't see anything like that in part 4. And I'm watching this. I'm like, what in the fuck? It straddles. It tries to get to the edge of something a little creepy and unnerving. She's still got like black lipstick on and stuff too. It's very strange. It's a very surreal, unusual sequence. But I liked it. It was cool seeing her head just get sort of drilled in by Tunneler.
It's fine. But the bulk of the plot is Sutek. Sutek pulls a Thanos, and he's like, okay, well my Jawas couldn't get the job done. I guess I'll do it myself. But Sutek doesn't go into the real world. Sutek is going to send another little puppet totem in there, and so he spends like 6 years of runtime like casting a magic spell to like put his soul into the ultimate little demon puppet. And so he's going to send the ultimate demon puppet into the Bodega Bay Inn to do some shit. And so
you will have all of my powers.
And he's
my soul. Yeah, and he does it. He does that forever. It's like we'll talk about what the Omega guy is doing here in a second, but it's like 20 seconds of Sutek doing something, and then it cuts to people walking, and then it cuts back to Sutek doing something, then people walking for like a half an hour.
Yeah,
like definitely. It just does that.
Yeah, and speaking of the half an hour of walking, let's talk about our cannon fodder that this movie introduces, because like the good guys can't die. Obviously, this is like 4 and 5 are essentially Puppet Master for kids, is how I would classify them. And so the cannon fodder for this movie are like the Discount Sam Neill. There's a sequence where Discount Sam Neill is talking to two evil American businessmen, and they're like, "Oh, it sure is a shame that we can't use your AI technology to make weapons." And Sam Neill's like, "Yeah, that sure is a shame. How about I give it to you to make weapons?" And so Sam Neill is going to go. Sam Neill believes Rick, and so he's going to go to the Bodega Bay Inn to take the puppets and get all of their secrets to create AI technology to make weapons. And so he hires three just like generic criminal goons to go and find these puppets. And like these are the fodder, like these are the cannon fodder that get attacked by all of the demons. The puppets like are trying to defend them. Like the puppets know that there is now this evil Sutek totem puppet running around the Bodega Bay Inn, and so the puppets attack the bad guys, but then they try to like drag them to safety. Matt, what does Jester do in this movie? This is your moment to talk about Jester doing something.
So Jester, by the way, probably one reason I love this, he shows up all over this movie. Like they keep cutting to reaction shots of Jester. Jester takes his mallet, and this guy's trying to get Pinhead. He's trying to hurt Pinhead, whatever. And Jester just smacks him in the dick with his mallet. That's what he does. Fantastic. One of the best sequences in any Puppet Master movie of all time is whack right there with the mallet. And the guy gets knocked out. They don't actually kill the guy though. But yeah, I mean Jester saves Pinhead. That's his hero moment.
That's my point though. Like the puppets are trying to protect these humans. So like when Jester like delivers so much concussive force to this man's dick that he passes out, they drag him into the elevator and lock him into the elevator for his own safety. Meanwhile, like the Sutek demon is like killing these generic goons and like stealing their souls.
What is the soul stealing for exactly? Because I don't quite understand that. They do that in the first one as well, or in part 4, where they get on there and they start pulling the.
If there is an explanation, I don't remember it.
Okay.
I think if there's one like big major flaw, I mean one big major flaw, there's lots, but if there's the one thing that like I think this movie does a lot worse compared to a lot of the other ones we've seen, is that these new villains don't have any personality to them. They do the same thing with all of the kills, right? They just go up and scratch them and then steal their souls with some kind of wonky looking special effects. And so you're kind of missing that whimsical feeling of like 2 and 3, where all of these puppets are like working together and killing people in cool ways. Because the puppets don't really kill people in this one.
That's because, and it's one of the things that I hated about all these Puppet Masters going forward, is they became good guys, and the puppets can't kill people. They can't do any of that stuff. And, that was always my biggest criticism with the Puppet Master franchise, is I hate the puppets being good guys. Because then it's just them kind of, like how great would it have been if, Jester smacks the guy in the dick with the mallet, and then Pinhead jumps down and crushes his head in with his giant hands or something like that. It would have been awesome. But no, we can't do that because they're good guys now. And we have to...
I feel like I'm okay with... Sorry for interrupting. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm okay with them being good guys. It's more that they need like human foes to kill. Because like
that's a you problem, Borp. They need to be bad guys.
Okay, but like they kill Nazis pretty creatively in the third one. Right? That's fun.
Yeah, it's always good to kill a Nazi, though. Like that's a special category. You can have you can have bad puppets killing Nazis, because Nazis are even worse than bad puppets. So it's always good to kill a Nazi. But in something like this, I want them to be bad guys. I don't want Toulon to be like this nice good guy. And now Rick, you're gonna move forward, Puppet Master 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever the plan was at the time. Hey. Now we're going to have puppets for the rest of the franchise that aren't going to kill anybody because they're good. We got to sell toys,
right? And to your point, it would probably make sense for them to actually kill some of these people that are breaking into the hotel, and like Yeah,
They don't know what could happen. Like those bad
exactly.
guys could attack Rick and kill him. There's no reason why the puppets could kill these guys.
Well, they do kill a person in a minute here.
Okay,
Uh,
continue.
so the puppets are for the most part trying to protect these humans from the evil like Sutek totem, but the Sutek totem ultimately kills all of the humans except for Discount Sam Neill. And I think at this point, Discount Sam Neill and Rick are the only human characters in the Bodega Bay Inn that are left alive. There's a funny moment at some point. Torch just shows up, and Rick's like, "Hey, Torch, how's it going? How's it going?" And Torch was not in Part 4 at all. He
No,
just shows up in this movie, and he's treated like he was there the entire time. I think Torch might actually be on the poster for Part 4, even though he's not in
he
the movie.
is.
He just shows up in this movie, and it's treated like he was always there.
Yeah, there's
But
a story behind that. So apparently, when they were filming these sort of back to back, they didn't have the budget to put Torch in Part 4. So they basically only had enough money for his flame for one sequence, and so they just decided to stick him in Part 5. But again, lots of people love Torch, so they put Torch on the cover of Part 4 to help sell it, to get people to buy Part 4 or rent it. Classic charlatan Charles Band maneuver right there. But yeah, so
Yeah,
Torch.
wasn't this like the heyday of Full Moon? Couldn't he have dumped some more money into this
It's
so they
it's
could get
towards the
two
end
scenes
of the
before-
heyday.
yeah,
It's towards
It's
the end of the
okay.
heyday. And I will
Okay.
point out that there is a lot. We didn't really mention this in Part 4. David Allen does come back to do actual stop motion animation for a number of sequences, and those do look really cool. Like when you have Six Shooter doing his stuff, and there's a few sprinklings of one of the totems, for example, comes out and he moves around. It's all stop motion. All that looks really, really cool. So I don't want to gloss over the fact that in 4 and 5 there are cool stop motion and stuff. So to your point, Borp, they still have some money from Paramount at this time, residual monies, but after this, they're going to get real
they
bad.
could have put
Yeah.
Torch in Part 4 and just not have him burn anything. I think that
would be
fine.
smart, though.
Yeah, you're right. That would
I
have been
don't know,
smart.
just
But speaking of smart,
take some money from like Subspecies 5's budget or whatever. Fuck it. I mean, this is your
Fuck it.
flagship franchise. I mean, oh god.
I mean, you're
okay.
not wrong.
Let's not-
Everything you're saying is 100% right. Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like all of the generic goons are dead. They've been killed by the evil Sutek totem, and so now it's just Rick and Sam Neill in the hotel. At some point around this time, like Psychic Girl has started like waking up and like channeling Toulon again, right? Like she's freaking
talking
out.
through the computer.
Or
Like he's got that computer and he's trying to decipher these cryptic, I don't know what it says, like help me and spirit or something.
There was no reason for Psychic Girl to be in this movie. Like she lays in the hospital bed the entire film.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about the computer. Yeah, someone is like psychically communicating with Rick via his computer throughout this entire movie, and it turns out to be Psychic Girl because reasons. I don't even remember what her purpose in doing that was. But anyways,
something to do with it. She's channeling Toulon, I think, because they're at a certain point. She's like, they figure out, oh, we got to put Decapitron back together again or something because was it at the end of? No, it was at the end of this one. What happened? Because that's why I was confused. Why is Decapitron not just there helping during this whole thing? Because at the end of Part 4, Decapitron's like, I'll always be here for you.
There's a line in this movie where they acknowledge that at the end of Part 4, like off screen, the puppets hid Decapitron. Why they hid him, I don't know.
Jester points him out. Jester's like, he's over here, basically.
And
that's what gets them to go find him.
You hid Decapitron. Good job, guys. Like, why did you hide him? Why isn't he here fighting the demons?
I don't know. I'm confused about that.
But yeah. So, anyways, like Psychic Girl like has no business even being in this movie. So Decapitron comes back. They finally find him, and so like all of the puppets corner Sam Neill, and Decapitron turns into Guy Rolfe again, and he's like, Sam Neill, this is all your fault. Like your greed has your greed has resulted in the death of 3 people. You're a shitty person. Blah blah blah. And then Torch lights him up, and he falls. So that's their one Torch fire scene. Torch shoots fire at Discount Sam Neill, and Sam Neill falls down an open elevator shaft and dies. I don't even.
He doesn't even burn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, does he even get burned, or does he just like try to avoid the flames and like doesn't realize the elevator door is open?
Yeah, because he's backing up, and I know Tunneler is like leaning forward, like he's gonna come chase him, and he just backs up, falls down the elevator shaft, and they show that shot of him on top of the elevator because
all right.
Rick and whoever Susie's
So
down there.
if the good guy puppets judge you to be sufficiently evil, they will kill the humans. So we could have gotten more movies like that, but we didn't. So now it's just Rick and the puppets versus the Sutekh puppet, and the puppets win.
They fight. There's a big fight sequence. Yeah, so eventually all the puppets are like in Toulon, Decapitron are fighting Sutekh.
Yeah, describe the fight sequence, because it's been a month since I saw this.
The fight sequence is Sutekh just sort of... Now, the Sutekh totem looks just like the other totems, but he's like bedazzled or something. He's got like gems on him and stuff like that. And there's a whole sequence where Decapitron shows up and Guy Rolfe's head, I think, pops up. Well, he puts on that other head, which allows him to see kind of like Predator night vision, and he's got
the Farsight scope from Perfect Dark, from anyone who remembers that from N64.
Yeah, and he can see where Sutekh is, and so then Sutekh and the puppet start fighting each other, and eventually Decapitron takes that head off, puts on his normal head, and shoots him with electricity like 5 times or something as Sutekh is trying to get out, because Sutekh opens this portal back home and he's like, I'm just gonna bail, like this kind of sucks now. I'm just heading home and you can't stop me. And then Toulon is like, yeah, I'm gonna blow up your portal, and Sutekh's like, but you can't do that, so I'm just gonna go through the portal. Like, you can't stop me going through the portal. Ultimately, something like Toulon keeps shooting electricity and everything blows up and all of the puppets are like destroyed. Like, there's this tracking shot of all of the puppets fried to pieces. They're all burned and charred. And then Rick steps on the charred corpse of Sutekh as the totem. And what happens after that? Oh, he's putting them back together again, right?
Yeah, he's putting them back together. And then that's it. Like Rick like crushes the Sutekh puppet's head, which kills Sutekh. He says like some stupid one-liner, and it just cuts to like the next day, and he and Susie are living together, and Susie's gonna take a shower, and she's like, "No peeking, Pinhead, teehee." And he's repairing
Pinhead's a creeper, apparently.
Yeah, Pinhead's a pervert.
And so Rick, like the end of the movie, like is not like there's no like ending. Rick is putting the puppets back together, and he's got some like very quick monologue, and he's like, I know there will be more threats, but I know that the power will protect me. And then the movie just ends. And spoiler, we find out in the clip show that off screen Rick just got killed, so the power did not protect him.
Yeah. I will point out that the one flaw of this movie for me is that at the end, Rick has fixed every puppet. They're all there except one. And I think you guys know who that is.
Leech Woman.
Jester, not there. So yeah, that's Puppet Master 5. You guys obviously were not as hot on this as me. I will say that the reason why I really like this one, number one, this has a lot of Jester action in it. You see Jester all throughout this one. He's a vital component of the plan. He helps find Decapitron. He smacks someone in the dick and knocks him out with his mallet. He's spinning his head around. There's just plenty of Jester action there for me. But the reason why I actually like this, and I know what you guys' criticism is going to be in the first half of this movie, it's nothing happens. It's just walking and spells, and I give you that. what saves this one for me is probably like the last 25 minutes where you basically just see the puppets all the way through. The puppets are, fighting, Sutek. They are, you see their reactions. They're actually doing things throughout this. You get the stop motion. So I actually felt, I was like, this is kind of what I want a full Puppet Master movie to be. Just kind of like primarily focusing on these puppets and what they're doing. Blade has kind of a fight sequence with Sutek and whatnot that's fun, and it actually goes on for quite a while. The puppets are getting thrown around, they're getting back up, they're getting back in the fight. I like all of that aspect of it. So for me, I watched this, and yeah, the first half of this is like, Jesus Christ, this is really boring. Like nothing's happening. They do literal moments in this where they will cut to discount Sam Neill walking around. Boom, he runs into one of the goons. Have you found anything yet? No, I haven't found it. Keep looking. And then 3 minutes later, boom, he runs into another one. Have you found anything yet? No. Well, let's keep looking. And it's just that for over and over and over and over and over again. So all that's dumb. I'm here for the last 25 minutes of this movie where it's actual, it looks like they put most of the budget for these two movies in this last act finale. I mean, you've got like the portals opening and you've got, all of that crazy wild stuff. That's what I dug about this movie, the last 25 minutes, and that's what saved it for me. So, Borp, your thoughts on Puppet Master 5?
Interesting, because I thought the last part of this movie was kind of anticlimactic. Not that it was poorly done, but something about it did not jive with me. I think there are some silly, goofy things I enjoy about this movie. I really enjoyed. Should probably look up the actor's name here. Ian Ogilvy? I don't know how to say this name. He plays Dr. Jennings as the character we call Discount Sam Neill. I think his performance is really fun. There's a part where they're running around this hotel and they've encountered the puppets at this point, and he's just ready to get the fuck out of there. And he runs into the main character, and the main character's, wait, I gotta go get my puppets. And he's like, fuck your puppets. We're getting out of here.
But then later on, he's like, we just need one. Like, he wants to just get one. And because there's a moment where he's like, actually, yeah, I'm going to stick around or whatever for this.
Yeah, totally. And he's a bad guy. I just think his performance is fun. Brings some life into the movie. I don't know. There's something about this that kind of felt like they were doing part 4 again, but worse. Which is really funny since they shot both of them back to back. Like, I thought there would be more things that stood out about this one. And that's why I was like, it kind of feels like it was one movie. They edited it into 2 movies, which obviously isn't the case. But yeah, it just kind of ends. They call this one the final chapter. Yeah. Obviously, it's not the final chapter. But something about that ending of like, okay, this is the last one. And then they're like, but, I know that there are more battles to be fought. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
I would have liked Sutek to not have been in another totem. Like, it would have been cool if that person who appears that he was in an actual suit, like a puppet suit, if it was actual Sutek that was running up and down the Bodega Bay Inn rather than another tiny totem with jewels on it. That would have been kind of cool. But you didn't like the big finale with like the portal and everything exploding and all the puppets?
It's fine. I think I like the directing in both of these, actually, surprisingly, compared to a lot of the other films. But it just didn't hit. I think I'm way more into the idea of like puppets killing people than puppet on puppet action.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Steve, what are your thoughts on Puppet Master 5?
I mean, I guess I don't hate it. My stance is just this movie shouldn't exist. Like, this movie, the entirety of this movie should have just been the last 20 minutes of Puppet Master 4. Like, Puppet Master 4 is an hour and 20 minutes. It should have been an hour and 40 minutes, and that extra 20 minutes should have been the contents of this film. Like, there's no need for this to be a standalone movie. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree mostly with Matt. Like, the puppet action at the end is fun. Like, the finale, the actual finale, how they beat Sutek, I still don't know what happened. Sutek is like standing in front of the portal, like, I'm gonna go in the portal, and Toulon's like, no, you're not. And Sutek's like, yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. And then things explode, and I still have no idea what happened. So I don't know. I mean, it's a movie about like living puppets. I guess like asking for it to make sense is probably a little too much. Uh, Weird. Yeah, it's so much nothing for the majority of this movie. And there's many other puppet masters that especially like the Axis trilogy, it's all the same thing. It's like nothing for and then the puppets show up and do things for the last 15 minutes. Uh this is in that same vein, but because there was a previous movie that was very obviously made at the same time, like these like more than any other continuation, like this should have just been combined with the previous movie and made like one feature length movie and called it a day.
Yeah, 100%. This was sort of done to try to maximize Charles Band's profit as much as he possibly could. So I think all your critiques of it are fair for sure. Just to piggyback off Borb, this one just hit me better than part 4 for whatever reason. I just really, and maybe it was Jester, maybe it was because there was so much Jester in this. I'm like, finally the puppet I like is doing stuff and heavily involved. So that could have biased my view of this one. So one thing I will point out to you, Borp, is you said that Sutek, the look of Sutek was kind of disturbing to you with the nipples and whatnot. If you look at the comic book series that sort of, I guess, did all this, Sutek actually dies. So Sutek is dead, but they go to somebody somehow goes to his world, his nether world or whatever it is, and finds that his son is now running things, which means, Borp, that Sutek fucks. So he's got a son. Someone was tweaking them nipples, Borp.
Okay, I'm
you know.
Happy to have gotten this information. I'm a better person.
Put that visual in your mind. Yeah. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Puppet Master 5. What is next in the? Is it Dr. Death?
Right.
Or
yes.
Explain this, Steve.
We have 4 movies left. We have Dr. Death, ends. Demonic Toys, which Demonic Toys technically isn't part of this, but I'm making us watch it because there's a Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, and there's Puppet Master The Legacy, which is the clip show. Now, according to the wiki, Dr. Death actually takes place between 2 and 4, and we missed it. So, so I think at this point, who fucking knows where in the timeline like Demonic Toys and the Legacy are supposed to take place? Legacy clearly takes place at the end because it's a clip show. So I'm gonna recommend the order we watch these last 4 movies is Dr. Death, then Demonic Toys, then versus Demonic Toys, then we finish poorly with the Legacy.
Good. And by the time we get done, Charles Band might have another one out.
Yeah.
By that point. Who knows? Who knows? So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what we do here, hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll be back in a couple weeks on Outpost Unknown with Dr. Death, which I have not seen. So this will be brand new.
It's going to be awful.
Well, we'll see. I don't even... What did Dr. Death do? What movie did we see him in previously?
Retro Puppet Master. We only saw him in Retro Puppet Master.
Okay.
God, that was so long ago.
And I don't know that he actually did anything. I feel like Retro Puppet Master was another movie where the puppets only do things during the last 10 minutes. So he probably had like no chance to actually shine whatsoever.
Okay, well, we're going to find out what Dr. Death has been up to in 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.